Hello humans, this is the Old Man Gamer speaking, and for this episode of SnowRunner we're going to look at the International Loadstar. It's a scout vehicle that's available from the beginning of the game and is very capable. I've started a new game session to show you what's involved in getting this in a minimum number of steps. This is in the normal mode. Hard mode may be slightly more difficult because you'll have concerns with the fuel and such like that. You also won't be able to recover without spending money on it. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to disable the tutorial mode, which will automatically do the first mission of the game, which is opening the bridge, and will level me up. That part of it is nothing more than a time saver. So, why did that not work? Skip tutorial. Skip tutorial. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. Okay, I've hit level 2. That's not necessarily required for the sake of this. We have to go two places. One is to collect the GMC 9500 and the other is to the garage. I'm going to go to get the GMC 9500 first, and then I'm going to do a beeline to the garage. The reason for doing that is because that will allow me to simply switch to the 9500 and recover it. Although either order will work for this particular task. I've played this game on a number of different consoles. I've started the game a number of times, easy, normal mode, hard mode. I'm quite familiar with it, so I may skip past a few details that new players to the game may not be familiar with. The tutorial does a fairly good job of showing you how to pick up cargo, how to deliver cargo, and how to operate trucks, switch trucks, even change regions. We're going to take this road, which will take us eventually to the sawmill, because we're going most of the way there, and this is just a slightly shorter route to get there than taking the main road in town. Normally, if you're doing the tutorial of the game, it would force you to go to a watchtower first, and then you would go to the GMC 9500, and then you would pick up some cargo, and you would repair a bridge, and finally you would drive to the garage. And at that point it would force you to switch to the Alaska region, just so that you knew how to change regions, and at that point you're ready to get access to the full game. You can go anywhere you want, you can do missions in any order you want, you can play co-op at that point. By bypassing the tutorial, that also opens it up for co-op at this point in the game. Have I gone too far? How could that be? That's the lumber mill. Ah, I have not gone too far. This is precisely where I needed to go. This is not where I needed to go. Ah, it's the next road over. I've not gone far enough. People seldom tell me that. I've had plenty of people tell me when I'm going too far, but seldom do they tell me I'm not going far enough. Alright, I'm sure this trailer park is thrilled that I just blew through their fence and I'm running over their picnic table. In fact, that picnic table is far more solid than you expect when it encounters a full-size pickup. Alright, new truck discovered. I can change trucks, but I want to be in the Chevy again. Now we have to go to the garage. And for that, I'll take the road most of the way back to where I started from. It's a little muddy, but this is the first map of the game, so it doesn't get too extreme compared to what you'll encounter later on in the campaign. Now, the Chevy pickup that we're driving right now can be made fairly capable. There is a suspension kit for it on this map. There's a differential lock on the other map that requires you to use low gear. And there's a off-road transmission that gives you 3 separate low gears, which are a little handier when you're using the diff lock. However, it's still not quite as capable as the Loadstar, particularly in the early game where you don't have many frame add-ons unlocked. Excuse the coughing there. I'm on my second bout with the flu in the last month. People say COVID is over, but I think we still have a ways to go before the bugs that are floating around in the air are completely gone. Or maybe it's just me having bad luck. Perhaps all those people wearing masks in public aren't so crazy after all. So if you're familiar with SnowRunner and have gone through this section, you probably realize that we're heading towards the garage now. In order to recover any trucks, you're required to go to the garage first to unlock it. And there wasn't really much point in driving a GMC truck because it's going to be considerably slower to make this same trip than the Chevy pickup would be. We can easily just switch back to the truck from the garage and then recover it, and it's all pretty much instantly. You play the later stages of the game, you forget just how bad or how difficult it is with the early game trucks. But it's kind of a nice challenge doing a restart every once in a while. Okay, we're going to start by getting this upgrade. We now have the Fleet Star available. That's going to be our go-to truck for most of the game. We're going to move to the garage. We're going to put this into truck storage. We're going to go to the Fleet Star and we're going to recover that. And this will be the primary one that we use because it can use all-wheel drive, and it's not a bad truck in the early game. It's got some disadvantages, but not anywhere near what the other ones available are. Now we're going to recover this as well. We're going to retain this and then sell this truck. That will give us 31,000. That puts our total at 40,000, and we haven't done anything else in the game. Now, to give us a little bit more of a buffer, I'm also going to sell the Chevy pickup. That's another 11,000, and it's going to be replaced by the International Loadstar. Now, these other trucks that you see in my truck list, these are all DLC trucks for packs that I've purchased. That's why they're in there. That's why they're not something that I'm mentioning for this particular tutorial. Now, we go to the truck store. We scroll over until we find the International Loadstar. That's 39,000. That will leave us with about $11,000 to do upgrades. There's not a huge amount that we can do to this truck at this point of the game. We can add a snorkel to it, which will make it a little bit better for water crossings. We can add... I normally like to go with the pickup box. That has spare tires, it has fuel, and it has repair parts. There's also the service cab, which has more repair parts, but no fuel and no spare tires. And there's the loading crane. I really don't recommend the loading crane, though, because it's extremely heavy for a scout vehicle, and it will make this truck quite tippy. The only, I guess, cases where you might want to use it is if you hook a scout trailer up to the Loadstar and you have to pick up some cargo from the roadside. A lot of times, there are other trucks that are far better suited to the job, like, for instance, the Fleet Star, which we recovered for free outside the garage. At this point of the game, we don't have the SnowRunner or the off-road gearbox. That requires us to explore Michigan. We don't have the raised suspension. You have to find that in Alaska, specifically in Mountain River. We could put the autonomous winch onto it. That's a very expensive upgrade, but quite helpful when you roll your truck. However, we're not exactly flush with cash for doing that. Apparently, we don't even have enough to purchase that. We have $9,250, that's $9,400. So apparently, our upgrades are going to be limited to maybe a little bit better bumper that's got some lights on it. And we can put a set of fog lights on the roof. And I don't typically run the windshield cover. There's various paint jobs. This is part of the year 1 season pass. I got mixed feelings about it. It looks okay. It's a little garish. I kind of like the red with black fenders look, though. I find that is a pretty nice setup for it. So at this point, we're still running the stock tires because unfortunately the all-terrain tires don't unlock until level 6. They unlock at level 6? Oh my god, I thought that was level 4. Well, in any case, I think it will still do pretty well compared to even the Chevy pickup. Now, we do still have the option of picking up a second Chevy pickup or a Scout 800. The Scout 800 is available on the Black River map. The second Chevy 1500 is available in Smithville Dam, and either of those vehicles can mount all-terrain tires. However, because this has permanent diff lock and it has permanent all-wheel drive, I find that this is a more practical vehicle. There's also a couple of trailers here that could be sold to raise additional cash for doing upgrades. Now keep in mind that for a medium truck you still have the Fleet Star, which we moved into the garage. That's still available. This is mainly used or available for scouting a map. And we'll take it out to the first little mud hole we find. I'm sure a lot of people that are familiar with the first level of SnowRunner are very familiar with this mud hole. It's generally the first place you get stuck in a game. And I guess it's the first place I got this truck stuck in a game. However, by simply going off the beaten path a little bit and getting out of the main mud, you can easily bypass this. Of course, this works for any of the trucks in a game. I would recommend doing a few missions because the all-terrain tires will make all the difference in the world for this. And by the time you get off-road tires and the raised suspension, this will probably be one of the most capable scout vehicles in the game. One of the nicer features of it is that you can drive along hillsides and it's not particularly tippy. If you put the raised suspension onto the Chevy pickup and you go onto a hillside, you have a lot of concerns about it rolling over. This gets aggravated if you happen to add the roof rack to have additional fuel in it, because that makes it a little bit more top heavy as well. Normally when you do a raised suspension, you would do larger tires as well, which raises the center of gravity, and they all combine to make the vehicle very tippy. This one, even with the raised suspension, is a much more stable truck. Part of that is because it keeps its fuel and its repair parts in the box rather than on the roof. Another vehicle that's very good for stability, a scout vehicle, is the Hummer H2. You would find that in Alaska, and it's also worth picking up. However, it also requires you to pick up a diff lock for it and a raised suspension and all that kind of stuff. So there are a few upgrades that it takes in order to make the vehicle particularly good. The Hummer does come with stock tires that are very good for the early game, so it's also worth getting, and is fairly easy to rescue using the Loadstar. I typically unlock the Loadstar as early as I can in the new game, simply because it's such a capable truck. And by the time it's fully upgraded, you'll be able to tow even larger trucks out of mud holes and be able to do things that you can't do in something like the Fleet Star or other miscellaneous trucks, because they have better tires that unlock at higher levels. Anyways, that's my little video on how to unlock the International Loadstar early in the game. A very flexible and capable scout truck, and can be done essentially as one of the first tasks that you do once the tutorial has been completed. Thanks for watching. This is Old Man Gamer, and I hope you join me for my next video. Bye bye.